Well, hey, everybody. This is my first official voice note to you in 2026. Happy fake New Year, by the way. Holy shit. I have a lot to talk about. I don't know how I'm going to fit it all in because I got a call in 45 minutes. So I'm going to be very, very wise with how I lay all this out. But I first want to start with a quick update on where I have been for the last few weeks, what I've been up to, where my focus has been. I haven't dropped an episode in a few weeks, and a lot has happened in those few weeks because I was pretty hunkered down and getting ready for some big stuff in 2026. And so, yeah, I took some time off over the holidays, which I take 2 weeks off around the holidays every year, regardless. There's nothing in my calendar. And even if I don't have, festive things packing up that 2 weeks, it really is just my way of honoring another calendar year of work and business and life. And it gives me a chance to kind of sit back and look back on everything and go, whoa. And I don't think I've ever had a bigger whoa than I have looking back on 2025. I've shared so much about what I've navigated, decisions I've had to make, brutal experiences, crazy big transformations. Like it was just one of those years. And then I always take a week after the 2 weeks off to just kind of integrate into a new pace. So I don't tend to have any calls really booking up my calendar. And I just allow myself to, hey, get caught up on things, kind of get my bearings, get connected with the team, and just start off nice and slow, which my nervous system loves that I do these days. I used to be that January 1st maniac back in the day. I would go balls to the wall on January 1st. And so just understanding that, especially here in Canada, it's winter and my body and my nervous system are not naturally inclined to go guns a-blazing and, reset a bunch of stuff and start a whole new bunch of stuff and get everything perfect on January 1st. Like it's so much more chill than it has been in years past. But that being said, this year did have a touch of new, a touch of me leveraging a new calendar year. There was definitely a celebration when I went to bed on New Year's Eve, knowing that 2025 was going to be over when I woke up in the morning. I'm also someone who has been following everybody's content around the year of the snake in the Lunar New Year process. I think forgive my ignorance, I believe it's the Chinese New Year. Someone correct me if I'm wrong, but there's so much resonance there for me too, even though the new year is still technically starting in February, which, when you're vibing in Northern Canada, we're like, doesn't feel very new right now. Solstice much more aligns with me, but this year of the snake, gotta tell you, I've never shed so much in my life. So there's a lot of truth in what people are sharing about that for me as well. And I chose to actually leverage 2026, new calendar year, new month, new something that is not 2025. And I leverage the energy that still very much exists in the greater collective of just kind of closing out one thing, opening another for a couple of things. Number one, I stopped consuming alcohol on New Year's Eve, and I won't get into it. I think I'll probably do an episode on this another time, but there was a few big reasons why. Number one, it was like that one thing that was still kind of dangling in my life that just wasn't serving me. And I'm like, man, I have cut out so much stuff to try and create a better experience for myself to help my system, to help my nervous system, to make big, challenging decisions. And I'm still holding on to this one thing over here because, it did serve a purpose for me at times of taking the edge off. That's for damn sure. I'm a red wine girl. Fuck, do I ever love red wine? And I absolutely was using it as a coping mechanism. And it was turning into a habit that I didn't feel like I was gaining any control over. I wasn't boozed up every day. I wasn't waking up and, taking a shot to take the edge off. I know many people in my network who have been to that extent. I wasn't that far along the spectrum of consuming alcohol, but what I did know is that I didn't feel as though I had control over it because it was having a glass of red wine was becoming synonymous with the end of my day and my body's cue that we can take our armor off now, and we can stop being in survival mode now, and we can just relax now. And I mean, we all know that alcohol is quite literally poison. So here I am trying to do everything in my power to heal my nervous system, but I couldn't let go of this one thing. So I leveraged January 1st to make that decision. And I'll do a whole episode on what has transpired for me since then. Because what day is it now? 20th? No, 19th. I've been 19 days without a drink. And yeah, I'll share what my experience has been. And I also want to know that anybody listening that does consume alcohol, there's zero fucking judgment from me, like at all. I will still clink glasses with you while you consume an alcoholic beverage, and I have a non-alcoholic beverage in my glass, and think that you are just as fucking awesome as always. I there's no judgment there. I understand what it's like to be someone who consumes alcohol when other people don't, and I also understand that old me used to be triggered when people would abstain from alcohol because I couldn't understand why, because it's just so deeply embedded in our culture that yeah, I would hold judgment against people, and I mean, it was all a projection. So anyway, that's one big decision that I made moving into the new year, was to give myself the best chance possible for a different outcome, different experience in this new year. By just, identifying any remaining things that I have not addressed in my life, whether that be things I'm putting in my body that are just causing inflammation and unrest, people in my life that are actually don't feel safe to me, or don't feel as though there's mutual respect or really reciprocity of, kindness and support. Those were some big drags for me too. And I just, again, when you go through a year like I did, and I know so many of you did too, because the messages that I've received since I started airing these episodes and just the way that I've shared on social media, I've just been like, hello, I'm naked. Here's my life. This is uncomfortable. Judge away. It has opened the door for so many people to come in and be like, yeah, I feel ya. This year nearly took me out. So I know that many of you are coming up for air. Hopefully you're coming up for air, starting to be cautiously optimistic that the future will hold something better for you than it did last year. So long as we learned the lessons. I think that there's a thing that a lot of people skip over when we go through hard stuff, is that we're not actually taking time to see the lessons in why we were up against what we were up against. A lot of people just get into complete victim mode, saying all of this is happening to me and poor me, poor me, poor me. And I get it. It can be easy for my mind to slip into that space sometimes too, because you just feel so freaking defeated and so exhausted. You feel like you're trying and nothing's working. I get it. And I also know that if I don't get to the root of why I experience these hardships, I'm just going to keep facing them. And that's not something that I want to continue to do. Like, why would I consciously choose that for myself? So yeah, when we are in a certain experience in our life and we want something different, something or some things have to change. in order to produce a different result. That's just how anything works. So yeah, lots of reflection on 2025 over the holidays and like what's coming with me, who's coming with me, and what and who is not. And prioritizing myself. I have spent years being of service to so many people and being a helping hand wherever I could, overextending myself, especially when it comes to being a voice online to try and bring people a sense of peace within themselves to navigate the total chaos that our world is. And I pushed myself too far in so many different areas. So I'm just a lot more wise now that I've been through that, collected a lot of wisdom. Hardship will do that to a person. That's the silver lining of hardship is you're going to learn some shit and you're going to be able to put another notch on your wisdom belt, which can only be a good thing. So yeah, just being really aware of what I'm bringing with me into 2026 and making sure that it's actually on my side and in support of me. And practicing the art of letting go of what isn't here for me anymore. One of my last episodes, maybe it was my last episode, I think. Was it episode 4? Do we have 4 episodes? I don't know. You can tell that I need to get in a rhythm with these episodes again. I'm really going to try hard to get these out weekly now and just be more consistent with them. Now that I feel like I've got a better baseline of my energy. But I was riffing on the banks and the money system. And I was humming and hawing on whether or not I was going to go through with my licensing process or not. And it was pretty much in and around that podcast episode that I made the decision to move through that process and completely turn things around in the level of financial literacy that I have in getting really great education, understanding how the Canadian system actually works. I think I held so much ignorance for how it worked that I was just like, fuck all. Full transparency. Definitely the banks. Me and the banks. I don't think they're ever going to win me over. I don't like the banks. I'm not going to hide from that. No disrespect to anybody who works in the banks. Okay, I feel like I need to clarify that because I've had some messages. Just like any system, right? It's like when I say we got a problem with our law enforcement system in Canada, I'm not speaking about individual officers. There's so many freaking great people. It's like healthcare. We have a problem with our healthcare system. There's also really freaking phenomenal nurses and doctors that work in our healthcare system. So let's just, understand that when I'm referring to these systems, I'm not referring to the people who are, trying hard to make a career for themselves and trying very hard to do the right thing and believing that they're doing the right thing. I just believe that a lot of people believe that they're doing the right thing within these systems because there is an absence of alternative information. And that alternative information is absolutely intentionally kept from those systems and the people that work within them, because if people start talking about the alternative options, then the system that they work for is going to lose power. It's pretty simple to understand why we are still walking this uphill battle with every single sector, every single big system that it kind of has an umbrella over society. So the more information that we can equip ourselves with, it's kind of like when you look at healthcare, which I think has been probably the biggest one of people waking up to big pharma and allopathic medicine and the amount of people who have increased their education when it comes to how do I actually listen to my body? What is actually good for my body when I'm consuming something? What is actually happening in my body? When I'm not feeling well, how can I support myself? Why is our knee-jerk reaction to run to the ER every time, something hurts or we get scared about something because we've realized we were raised to distrust ourselves and the infinite wisdom that our own bodies hold and outsource all of that authority to someone who isn't us, arguably a complete stranger in the form of a medical professional. And we've woken up to that by educating ourselves and informing ourselves. Same thing goes for the financial system. I got into the world of tax shelters in 2024. Blew my mind. Blew my mind. I remember sitting there looking at Sean, who was my financial broker, almost with this like, what do you mean? Because I couldn't understand that there was something there available to me this whole time of just getting demoed by the feds at tax time for the profit in my organization. And I didn't know that there was alternatives to just being completely taken to the cleaners by the CRA. What do you mean that this is available to us and we don't know about it? It's missing information. It's alternative information that exists over here outside the system, because if people understand this stuff, then the banks lose power. So why would that just be common knowledge? Then you get into the education piece of just taxable events. When are taxes on your investments triggered? How do you pay yourself properly out of your corporation as a business owner or a shareholder to ensure that you are mitigating taxes where possible? And I'm sorry for the freedom folks that might be listening to me that that are believers of just not paying taxes. I'm sorry, but you will never hear me say, don't pay your taxes, because it's literally a federal offense. And the last thing I ever want to do is be like, hey, you know what you should do? You should commit tax evasion. I get it, guys. Trust me, there's not a cell in my body that feels good about giving the government any of my money. My thing is, how do I give them the least amount of money possible legally so that I don't have to worry every night when I go to sleep when they're going to come for me, because they will, or if they're going to come for the beneficiaries of my estate, my business, my financial affairs when I'm gone. Like, maybe I'm not strong enough, guys. I apologize to my freedom community that think that that's a weak thing to do, but it's just, and bless you if you make a different decision than I do, but that's just not for me. I want to sleep at night. Fuck, my nervous system survived 2025. So my thing is like, what do I need to learn to give me every possible angle? I got into the world of gold and silver. And just for people who are like, oh my God, she's doing that thing over there, she must not be into gold and silver anymore. That's a bunch of bullshit. Because guys, we can do more than one thing. I don't know if you know that or not. Gold and silver is something that my husband and I will always do. It's something that my business will also always invest in as well. It's the only form of real money that we have on this earth. That's why they call it sound money. Fiat currency is quite literally a currency. It's not actual money. It's just a currency. It's a modality for which transactions can occur. That's it. Gold and silver. Congrats, by the way, to anyone who has been investing in gold and silver. I looked this morning. Silver is now at $92 an ounce. I started buying it 2023, 2022, 2023, I think. So almost 3 years ago. It's like $19 an ounce. So good on you if you jumped on the gold and silver train. I hope you were happy with your investments. And I also had to be, realistic about how taxation works with precious metals too. I'm like, am I creating a tax bomb here? Is it best for us to put all of our eggs in this one basket? Started dabbling a little bit of crypto too. Because we're just like, where do we spread this out to? Like, what are our options? The banks are not it. Like, that was just, I'm like, no. If someone says, open a TFSA in a bank, immediately no. Like, with every cell in my body, absolutely not. For A, I don't trust the banks, but B, also when you get a little percent return on your compounding interest in a bank run TFSA, you're lucky if your investments actually stay ahead of inflation. Why would I want to keep my money in an account that is just going to be eroded by inflation? That just made no sense to me. So, but at the same time, I was like, okay, if we're only doing precious metals, we're still looking at capital gains on our investment. So what if you have this big bubble of gains happening because the price of metals is rising so fast? It's the only thing that you're investing in. Like there's a tax bomb there at the rate that metals are growing. Again, we will never walk away from precious metals. I want to be very clear. There's just also an and here that I started to be like, what else? Okay, we got tax shelters, we've got precious metals, check, a little bit of crypto. Okay, what else don't I know? And I started to go through this process 2 years ago, but you guys know my story. My system was in shambles. I could not pull myself through that course and licensing process at that time. There was no way. Like there was just no way. So I got enrolled and registered a couple years ago and never got there. So all I kept doing was just bringing Sean into my spaces so that he could at least be having these conversations with my community while I technically couldn't. Had in my old MYM community, especially around the corporate tax sheltering, why corporate structure is so much better from a tax advantage standpoint than sole proprietorship. Like I just kept trying to be like, warning, 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 trying to tell people as much as I could to get people to start thinking differently about what we may have been trained to do or advice that we've been given by lawyers or bookkeepers that are also entirely unaware of all of these alternative options and structuring. And again, just like doctors, we're just like, well, that person does that for a living, so they're the ones that should have that sound advice, right? And I should just listen to them because I don't feel confident in my own knowledge. And then we outsource and then we take their advice. Sometimes that advice is not well informed either. And then we're left to deal with it. We're left to deal with the unhealthy body. We're left to deal with the, finances in shambles. We're left to deal with everything. So this is another way for us to build our sovereignty, build our wisdom, understand what all options are on the table. We deserve that. Every person deserves to know everything that's on the table and then go make your decision, but at least know what's available. And that'll always be my position. Let's just put all the cards on the table, know what's available, and then you can go make the decision that's best for you and your family. That's called informed decision making, which is something that we have been fighting for since 2020. Anyway, so I'm happy to say I completed the entire educational component, the whole program, passed all of the certification exams in that course. Then I had to go write my provincial exams. My husband, Rob, also did this alongside me. So that was a really cool experience. And oh my God, we did all 4 exams in one day in Calgary, like absolute lunatics. But so glad we did. And Rob passed all 4 on the first day, and I freaking passed 3. I was so upset. Oh my God. It was life insurance. It was the first exam of the day. And listen, here's what I underestimated. So if there's anybody that's going through this process listening and you haven't gone through exams, don't underestimate the role your nervous system plays when you write those exams. You would think that I was prepared for that, given what I have just been through. I wasn't. I was like so focused on the information and making sure that I was going to be able to pass the exams and getting prepared and studying and all that stuff that I did not factor in my nervous system. Like what? Life insurance was the first exam of the day. I sat down and I borderline went into a panic attack. The first question came up on screen and it felt so foreign to me. I'm like, I didn't study this. What the hell is that? Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Really long question too. Very situational, like you have clients in front of you. And I felt the room start to swirl. My heart rate went up. My hands, I'm just thinking about it now. My hands are getting sticky. And I'm like, I am so screwed. And I just went into that spiral. I couldn't pull it together. Even though life insurance was the one that I felt most confident going into. It was the first exam of the day. I underestimated what that experience was going to do for my nervous system, especially being in a room full of people, in a highly intense environment, like an exam setting. And I couldn't get it together. So after that exam, I walked out and I met Rob. I'm like, I bombed that. Like I knew I bombed it. And I had to completely reground myself. We went to the hallway, get myself together, like just shake it off, drop into some breathing. I had my Healy with me as well. Like I had the stuff. I'm like, I gotta use my tools right now because we cannot have this continue for the rest of the day. And exam 2, 3, and 4, I'm like, I'm good. I know this. So when I got my results back that afternoon and I bombed the first exam, it wasn't a surprise to me. So I rescheduled it for 2 days later, went in. I ripped through that exam because I was so grounded. I ripped through that exam. I was done the exam in like 40 minutes. You have 75 minutes to do it. And so the last 35 minutes of the exam, I just kind of messed around and double checked all my answers and walked out of there. I'm like, yeah, we're good. And then, of course, I got my passing mark about an hour later. And we were off to the races to start the actual formal licensing process. So I've been in the thick of training, working with clients with my certified field trainer, who awesomely enough is Sean. So just that relationship that I've built with him over the years, the ways in which he has helped me completely awaken to all of our options available to us. He's the one that helped me get a proper structure in place for my corporation. He's been right by my side, helping to get me ready for the field. And man, has it ever been rewarding to go through this process, not only just so I can give myself a pat on the back for getting through this on the tails of the hardest year I've ever navigated in my life. I'm so proud of myself for doing that, but also getting to work with people and then literally watching their face on Zoom calls when we're presenting to them based on their analysis. We kind of do a quick intake call, then we do a formal, like full-blown financial analysis of every moving part of a person's finances, investments, insurance. Everything's on the table. And then we carry back solutions for them and show them what their options are. And then just watching people, you see the fear drop from them. You see hope fill up in them instead because they actually see a path forward now. They understand what their money's doing now. They understand how they can get their money working harder for them. They understand how to mitigate taxation just by simply being aware of moving your money accordingly to avoid some of these things just simply by making better decisions. So it's been really cool because if you have been in my space for any amount of time over the last 6 years, since 2020, you know that my thing is freedom and how to help people stand on their own, how to help people stop being so dependent on the system, help people free themselves from the clutch that the system has us in because we just don't know what the hell our options are because the system is what we were raised in. This has just clicked into place so beautifully for me from a fulfillment standpoint, from a personal values standpoint. And I get to do it with people that I really, really like. And so the enjoyment that I'm having, that's something I've been really blessed with, honestly, in just about everything that I've done since MYM. MYM was the most beautiful community I've ever experienced in my life. 7K team, same, just phenomenal, like-minded people. Same thing happening here. Phenomenal, like-minded people out there to help people create financial independence for themselves. It's another system now that I get to be like, we're not falling for this bullshit anymore. We're going to help people. So I'm loving it. It is, it's also really soothing for my nervous system to have something that feels so stable beneath my feet. I've been sharing with some of my fellow creative entrepreneurs how good this feels to just be able to click into something. I am creatively tapped over the last few years, and that's kind of the downside of creative entrepreneurship. It's like your business relies on your creativity. It can be pretty taxing on your system and your psyche because you're just constantly in creation mode in order to generate a livelihood for yourselves. And that drained me. And I needed to take a step back and just be able to kind of click into place, create this beautiful, sturdy foundation beneath my feet and start fresh. And yeah, my adrenals are like 2 thumbs up from us, Sarah. Thank you. Shout out too to everybody over at Sovereign Acres Publishing. That's another huge thing. Like 2025, I'm like, I am under the rubble. Like, you want to talk about buried. And somehow I was able to assemble the right people for the right jobs to be able to build bulletproof operations over at the publishing house. People operating in their zones of genius, emphasis on the who is going to come in and be of service to the publishing house. Everybody in every role in that publishing house is a rock star at what they do. And so that's my creative thing that is still there and growing. But even that now doesn't feel like I constantly have to be like burning my brain to figure out what's next, what's next, what's next. We simply have a place for people to land to create something beautiful with their communities, create a generational impact in the form of a physical book to leave behind, leave their legacy with. And we have the means to just be able to support people doing that. And so when people come to us with project ideas, I'm like, yes, this can work. And we have the system to support you with that. So let's click you into place, put you through our process. And it just works. We're really freaking good at it. It's not to say that we don't have hiccups, but again, just like coming out of this era of having to constantly figure everything out all the time, create, constantly launching, constantly, blah. Oh my God. Like, this is the first calendar year that I'm walking into where I don't have to fucking do that. And it feels so good. And trust me, if I'm going to be running an agency, I've got 11 agents going through their process right now as it stands in my own agency, actively bringing on more talent. So if this is something that you're interested in, I'll put a link in my show notes to make sure that you check that out and get in touch with me. I'll have a conversation with you on what that entails. I still get to do all the things that I love, which is leading people, helping people, mentoring people, help people build businesses, help people speak their truth, help people step into their full expression, help people build their courage to be seen, like, in this weird backhanded way. I look back, what did I want to be when I grew up? Nowhere in there was like, let's own and operate a financial broker agency and let's be the CEO and founder of a publishing house. But here we are. And so I've found these two things that, with, again, proper structure and systems in place and the right people involved, I've been able to create this deep sense of safety and security for me while still getting to do so freaking much of what I love. So I am stoked for 2026. I haven't felt this way in years. It has been since I've been able to access this feeling of like, hell yeah, let's go. I've even noticed that, like, I'm walking through my house differently because my energy has shifted. You can see it in my face too. The inflammation in my face starting to come down. That could just be simply from not drinking wine. But I would also argue that when your nervous system really starts to feel stabilized again, it's going to stop hanging on to so much, and our bodies hang on to inflammation and fat when we're in survival mode, because that's technically what it's supposed to do to keep us alive. So yeah, my body feels like it's changing. My energy feels like it's changing. My mental clarity, my focus, my ability to see the future again when you are in survival mode and your nervous system is collapsed, you can't see past the end of the day. And I feel like I've been in that since fall of 2021 with when it started with the vaccine mandates. I'm like, I can't see the future. Like I fell so hard in fall of 2021. The Freedom Convoy brought me back to life, which, by the way, shout out, huge win in the courts on Friday. Thank you to everybody involved in that. But then it's like, as the dust settled, as that kind of high of that experience settled, reality kicked back in. And it's like, I've never been able to recover from the COVID era. That's what it has felt like. And it's like, I get 2 steps ahead and I fall back 3. I get 1 step ahead, I fall back 4. And I've just been like, I feel like I've just been dragging my body and my soul. Not to be dramatic, but that's actually what it feels like. I've just been like dragging myself through year after year, never feeling ahead, never feeling like I'm really actually going to be okay. And I feel that way again for the first time. Thank God. Anyway, there's my little update. That's what's been going on here behind the scenes. We are hosting a webinar on Thursday, January 22nd, 5 p.m. Mountain, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. On the title of it is What They Never Taught Us About Money. How many people do we have signed up for this thing? 356, which just shows that this is needed. So many people out there are trying to figure out what to do with their money, or they're trying to figure out how to have more of it, how to keep more of it, how to pay less taxes, or maybe just to have more of it so that you can make investments into things like gold and silver because you know how important that is, but you're like, I don't have enough money to be able to make those investments. We're kind of upstream from that now to help kind of you figure everything out and then be able to make really good decisions for yourself on what you're going to go do with that money. So I'm really excited to share that with you on Thursday. I'll leave the link in the show notes for your listening ears. It is www.backwoodsfinancial.com/webinar. Co-hosting it with 4 very dear friends of mine: Rebecca Matthews, Elisa Curry-Lowitz, Jen Pike, and her husband, Chris Borsellino. All of us are licensed. All of us understand what it is like to be financially destitute and have to rebuild ourselves from the ground up and go through a learning curve and increase our financial literacy in order to stabilize ourselves, get proper structures in place, stop bleeding money out unnecessarily to things that we just don't understand, and make sure that our assets are protected and make sure that our families and our beneficiaries are protected, and our businesses too, if you're a small business owner. So we're really pumped to kind of open the door for everybody to come in and learn and take with it what you're going to take with it, leave the rest. And we're there to support you on the other side of that when it comes to creating better structure in your financial world. If that's something that you are seeking to do a better job of in 2026, all of us are qualified now to be able to help you do that, just the way that Sean was there for me when I needed to start getting my corporation under control again. I'll probably do a whole episode just on tax shelters one day because of what they can do for you, not just for your business, guys, either, but also for you when it comes to, no, thank you, I don't want to ask the bank for another loan. I'd rather loan it to myself out of my own bank. That opens up that world for you too, which, again, mind-blowing stuff that it's available. We just don't know about it. So, yeah, I'm going to try and commit to do an episode a week for y'all. Voice note a week, I should say. So here is your, how long have I been going now? I don't know. 35, 40-minute voice note today, which, depending on which one of my friends I'm sending it to, sometimes that's actually the length of a voice note that I might send. All right, I hope you all are having a great start to your January. I know January feels like it never ends. Feels like it's been January for 3 months. It's only January 19th. But we're gonna have a better year. Okay, let's just let's just declare that for ourselves. So if you're listening, just say it. I'm going to have a better year. I am having a better year. This year is going to be a good one. And just start reprogramming what might be going on in your psyche that maybe isn't really in your best interest to keep looping those types of thoughts. All right, that's it for today. I'll see you next time. Bye, everyone.